Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby. And this is the history. This is the podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, the battles between WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Each and every single week, we go back in time and we re-review the battles between Raw and Nitro. And we try and figure out at the end of the day, at the end of this whole adventure, who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. Adam, why should people listen to what we have to say?
We're keeping up with the Monday Night Wars right now and are interested in a change of scenery for Nitro, because as much as we complain about shows on Raw not being live and being at the same place, we've been at MGM or Disney, whatever, for like what feels like a billion years now in my book. So Monday Night Pod is the only place you can go to experience the, to experience the August 5th, 1996 episode of Nitro without needing to, once again, be subjected to Disney MGM Studios.
I like that set. I'm enjoying it. I kind of wish they never left. But yes, Adam, that is true. We also used to work at WWE. We worked in WWE Tape Library. Our jobs were to watch all of wrestling. We watched everything from, God damn it, you name it, figure it out, we've watched it. I was actually happy this week. When WWE upgraded the WWE Network, one thing that went away was the hidden gems. And I was looking for something like, I feel like a week ago, and I couldn't find it in hidden gems. And then when I went to watch this episode, I saw the hidden gems is back. So I don't know if it's back relatively since then, or it came back, or it actually just came back, but very happy to see that, because that's the kind of stuff we were digging through and finding, were these things that no one had seen in forever, and now we found, and makes it easy enough for network to upload that kind of stuff, or using packages, or whatever the hell it is. Because of us, you get the whole network, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I was watching the Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions with Ric Flair, and he was going through all these names from back in the day about people who no one knows who the hell they are, and he was going through them, and with almost every one of them, I was like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I know who that was, who he's talking about, because we dove that deep into the pool that even people Ric Flair thinks nobody knows, we know.
That is true. Usually before we begin, we talk some sort of current wrestling stuff. It's kind of jumbled all in my brain per usual this week. I don't know anything jump out to you other than, like, I brought it up last week about maybe the Drake Maverick thing was a work, and that certainly picked up a little bit of steam. I still don't know what to make of it, because it's very confusing.
It doesn't seem like it's a work to me. And it would also seems like it would be in extremely poor taste to do something like that as a work.
The WWE doing something in poor taste, that shocks you?
No, I didn't say it shocked me. I just said it would be. Of course, if they were to, I've got a third host here now. If we were to keep him around and do a storyline out of it when so many people have legitimately lost their jobs, that would be in rather bad form.
It's weird. I mean, I do kind of agree in that. I think what happened is they released him. Hunter was like, I have him in my fucking tournament. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we told everyone if we need them, we could still keep using them for 90 days anyway. So we'll just pay him to keep working. And they went to him with that deal. And he was like, yeah, I'll work for an extra, where else am I going? I'll work an extra 90 days and get through this thing and get a little bit of shine on my way out or whatever.
He was an interesting release, I think, out of everyone, because I can't imagine he was that expensive. I was thinking back through the roster about some stuff, and it's curious to see, like, when you look through it, oh yeah, they could have released those people. They could have released those people, but like clearly they're not, because they're still hoarding talent to an extent.
Well, I mean, they still have, 1,000 hours of TV to produce every single week.
Right, but there's a bunch of people they don't really do that much stuff with anymore. I mean, the Viking Raiders are pretty much done. Right?
Well, they were on Raw this week, though.
Yeah, but they're like not really lighting the world on fire anywhere. You're right. Sure, they were used on Raw, but Sarah Logan's
That's better
name
than 75% of the roster.
Yeah,
but just, you can't judge this way too. I mean, most of the roster has decided not to work, apparently. I believe Kevin Owens does not live very far from the Performance Center. He clearly was like, I got kids. I ain't showing up, motherfuckers. So
Yeah, sure. Roman Reigns, who's apparently not, his name isn't even supposed to be spoken of anymore on television for the time
why
being.
push talent that's not going to be on TV, Adam?
Sure. Well, I'm curious when AEW starts back up in a couple of weeks. I imagine they're going to do a similar thing. They're not going to force anyone to work who doesn't want to.
Yeah, because all those jobbers are really excited to risk their lives to get beaten up.
Well, it just seems like, like Hangman Page isn't traveling. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like Proud and Powerful is going to be traveling. Or, there's people who are there who are going to jump in. I mean, Dustin Rhodes went on a podcast and said that he's really excited to get back to it. I think he didn't say it in as gentle of words. He might have had a few more harsh phrases to say about the lockdown from what I heard on the recap. But it's, as we discussed when this all first started, it's all quite fascinating to live through. I cannot wait until we have full arenas again with real crowds. Seeing the Orange Cassidy match this week without the crowd there it did not work, but it wasn't all the way what it is.
He shouldn't be wrestling without fans. I mean, he doesn't need to wrestle. I mean, listen, what he's doing, wrestled 3 or 4 matches this whole time anyway. Clearly, they realize that you don't want to overexpose him to begin with. Maybe now's the time. Same thing with Bray. I mean, we're not getting the Fiend, so I guess it's a pass on the pay-per-view against Strowman. At least that's what it seems like. But he's another one just like, okay, you don't want to overexpose these guys anyway. Here's a great excuse to just have them all do vignettes and do other things, and who cares? As long as they're on the screen, I'm kind of happy. I don't need to watch them wrestle necessarily.
Well, one other AEW thing I am liking is just them bringing all these jobbers in and padding out the records for a lot of their people who they want to be stars. Like even though Brody Lee is 3-0 is against jobbers or whatever,
right?
Like at least it's going to in a place where your wins and losses are supposed to matter. And they're not just doing it with heels; they do it with Kenny Omega this week. Like at least now in the place where wins and losses are supposed to matter, those wins and losses are gonna pad out more. I always thought that sucked, like with Sammy Guevara, because he's just in one of those positions where he's going to be one of their big stars over the next couple of years. But whenever he was going to go up against Darby or Cody or whatever, it was usually him who's taking the loss on that one. So his record is kind of 50-50-ish when you look at it in AEW. But I like how they're using this time.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a lot to say about timing this week. So we want to jump back to 1996.
Yeah. Speaking of time, we'll use our time.
Look at that transition right there. I'm becoming the master of this. All right. Let's go to Raw. This is Raw 171, once again taped from the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington. I haven't spoken about this the past couple of weeks. We mentioned Key Arena. I did not see something at the Key Arena, but I walked by the Key Arena, and the Key Arena is interesting because it's one of the stadiums that are built into the ground. So when you walk by, it looks very tiny because you enter at the top. So it's just that first level, and then it goes down. Sort of like Dodger Stadium is that way too, where when you walk up to it, you're actually already at the top level, and then you're walking down into it. Just
what do they call it? A Pantheon Theater?
I have no idea, but a little nugget of info for you Seattle-tonians. But anyway, Raw opens, and we're told that tonight is going to be the Raw Invitational Battle Royal, and the winner is going to get a title shot against whoever wins the Summerslam match between Shawn Michaels and Vader. It is Vince and JR in commentary tonight because our first match is Jerry Lawler versus Aldo Montoya. We see the setup to this. We talked about this last week. The thing of superstars, Aldo beat him with the DDT. King comes out with on the mic and a brown paper bag drink. He is just ripping into Jake Roberts the whole time. He continues to talk even over the B-roll of Aldo Montoya, even over Aldo's entrance, even into the match. King won't shut the fuck up. But the match goes 2 minutes and 30 seconds and ends when King hits 2 pile drivers for the win.
Very stiff pile drivers. I was trying to tell if it's the old rings that they're on that make the pile drivers seem particularly brutal, but these ones did have, like, even just from an audio side of things, on top of King just being one of the best pile drivers of all time, they just look brutal and nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my notes with it were, it's just, they're making Aldo, even though he got basically treated like a jobber to Smash. They are building up to be somewhat serious. He has pyro. He beat
A
Lawler a
lot of
couple weeks
pyro.
ago. Blah blah blah. But at the same time, like you just look at him, you look at him in that stupid outfit, and you're like, I can't take any of this seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
man, Vince must have just been on some kind of crack that those days where like he loved
those
cartoon
days, did you see him
characters
on
and he goes,
SmackDown this week?
"Wow, it's probably different than crack now. Uh, it's some kind of old person drug." But yeah, it's of course. I mean, you have that. You have like obviously we'll get to later with Farouk Assad and how he's looking. It's just it's like this cartoonish. I think we talked about it last week. Like somebody made the action figure before they made the outfit for the character, and they're like, okay, we got all these action figure molds we got to sell. Aldo Montoya.
Oh, after the match, Lawler takes the Jim Beam out of the brown paper bag and pours it down Aldo's mouth. Aldo Montoya sells it like it's actual poison being like it's shoved down his gullet. He's like,
Well, if it is actual Jim Beam, then let's we ain't getting sponsored by Jim Beam here. I mean, let's say it's about as bad as you get. It's not Evan Williams, but it's pretty bad. That's that's alcoholics drink right there. Alcoholics and underage college students or who drink Jim Beam.
Oh, I guess those are King's two favorite things. But yeah, I mean, barely a match. It's mostly just building towards King and Jake Roberts, which isn't bad. That's sort of what this needs to be. You don't really want to see Jerry Lawler in a classic right now. It was what it was. It's all story, and I don't really have any problems with it.
It is. I like JR on commentary though. This is
Yeah,
a nice little treat we're gonna have tonight.
yeah. I was gonna sort of say that towards the end, but yes, I agree. Having JR on commentary is amazing and makes the show far better than it usually is. So
Mm-hmm.
we make fun of
Sure
JR a
does.
lot, but he's amazing.
Yeah, he's one of the best, if not the best.
All right. Next up, it's the new and improved Rockers, not just the new Rockers. The new and improved Rockers versus the Body Donnas. Match goes 10 minutes. Hilly Jim comes out to commentate for the match because at SummerSlam, it's going to be a four-way. The Body Donnas, the new and improved Rockers, the Smoking Guns, and the Godwins. And at one point, we see the Godwins and the Smoking Guns watching backstage too.
Mm-hmm.
This match goes 10 minutes, but this is one of those matches where Vincent King, Vince and JR and Jim and Hillbilly Jim, so many Jims, ignore it. The whole match is not about that. Because at one point we cut backstage with Sonny and Farouk. They cut a whole promo about his debut match next week against Skip. Farouk then yells about Tigers. We cut back his backstage at Godwin's and some guns, like I spoke about. And then we cut back again to a clip of Gorilla Monsoon letting Clarence Mason know that his mystery client will be allowed to wrestle in WWF. They're literally doing everything they can to not pay attention to this match. But at the end, after 10 minutes of this, Skip goes up to the top rope and the Smoking Guns run down, shove him off, and it causes the DQ. The Godwins run out. Chaos ensues. And here we go, four-way at SummerSlam.
You know, we should say that for a match that they're completely ignoring, which we've had a bunch of those in the past, but this is not a bad match. You know,
No.
this isn't something that needed to be ignored in the way that it's not. You know, it's not 13 minutes of Mankind versus Duke the Dumpster Drozy,
No,
or
I mean,
Bradshaw versus Savio Vega. You know, it's not that. This is actually the stuff they're doing back there is pretty good. And I was watching it and I was thinking, like, man, Al Snow, even at this young age, such a natural, just so good with his timing and with his reactions and everything. Uh, Poor finish and poor coverage of the match obviously hurt it, but it's not bad.
no, it's not. It's not bad, but it's just one of those things where like I have a hard time uh, concentrating, and it's made even harder when they can't even concentrate on it. I did pick up. I mean, once at one point, Skip hits like a Benoit-esque flying headbutt, which is nice. I picked up on that, but yeah, I again like no real problems with them. I mean, it was sort of I didn't agree with the decisions that they made to sort of ignore the match, but I don't think any of it was necessarily bad. We're all building towards story to SummerSlam. You have 1 hour of an episode. This is how they condense it and move the show along a little faster. Than I guess I'd rather this than feeling like it was too slow.
We've had those problems many times. But yeah, it just moved. And we got this cool 4-way at SummerSlam coming.
Yep. Let's see here. Next up, Kevin Kelly is on location interviewing Shawn Michaels. He talks about losing to Vader and Mankind attacking him last week. He says, like ever could be, like he could be beaten every night. That's just what it is. But you know, to bring up Bret Hart, what his comments are, because remember, he hasn't been seen since Shawn beat him at WrestleMania under weird terms because that's going to overtime, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk about the Raw Invitational Battle Royal because whoever wins that match faces either Shawn or Vader after SummerSlam. So if Shawn wins, he has to compete the next night.
Against possibly somebody who's going to be a heavy hitter, because there's a lot of stars who are going to be in this match. I like when they talked about Vader having 200 pounds on Shawn. They did a good job.
Well, they said Vader weighed 400 pounds, though. I don't believe that.
No. 400-pound moonsault. But he's a big man. So I'm excited for this match. I think it's cool. I mean, not that we're gonna watch it, but you know, I'm a big Vader fan. I think if I'm watching back then, I think
spoiler alert though, you're not gonna like the finish.
I know.
Yeah, I thought this is well done. I sort of like these little things. Shawn is sort of great in these moments. It gets us out of the arena. It switches things up when we're in the same arena for 4 weeks in a row. Yeah, no complaints about it. Next up, we see clips from a house show in Montreal. We're showing some stuff with a click cam because remember, house shows, blah, 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 blah. Amazing. Come on out. The Attitude Adjustment Tour, whatever the fuck they were calling it.
And apparently house shows aren't going to be a thing of the future anymore. Speaking of today thing. So.
Which makes sense. They've been losing money for years. They destroy the wrestlers. Who cares? It's non-canon. It's such like pretty much every touring show except for wrestling has gone out of business. Like, you know, the carnies, the circus, the blah, 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 all that shit. Nothing else exists. It's just that's worlds we're living in before the situation.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't affect too many people's pay scales.
Well, I think it would only help because I just think that like they have to sort of, again, get rid of the antiquated thing of like downside guarantees and paying all that shit. Like that's just not going to cut it anymore. You're going to have to guarantee a lot more money to these guys than basing it off of pay-per-views which don't exist anymore and house shows that don't exist anymore. Pay these fuckers. And you know what's going to do? That's either going to make them actually keep them on the payroll or not, because when you're paying them much more, you can't just have them hanging around. I think it's going to be better for everyone. I think it's going to lead to more people getting cut, unfortunately, because house shows really are where they need bodies more than any place. Like, okay, you might not have seen Kurt Hawkins on TV in 3 months, but guess what? He was wrestling every single house show. But I think it changed a bit more. But then, like, those guys, you know, who knows what the indie scene is going to be like, but guys in the indie scenes make a lot of cash. And it's not like you're losing your benefits and insurance by doing that. You didn't have any of that anyway. So you have a better schedule. You're probably closer to home. Odds are you can make more money. And you're good.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe there's a couple of people who make more money, but like it seems like somebody like Ryback has been able to like keep themselves in a comfortable living situation working indies since they got out. I mean, he's a guy who I'm amazed never showed up in TNA, for example.
I think because they couldn't. I think they couldn't offer him a schedule or the money that he ever wanted.
Yeah, probably the money more so than the schedule.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Anyway, that's
next up, it is our main event time. It's the Raw Invitational Battle Royal. Those 19 minutes. Our participants are pretty stacked here. Ahmed Johnson, British Bulldog, Goldust, Justin Mark Bradshaw, Mankind, Mark Miro, Owen Hart, Savio Vega, Steve Austin, Psycho Sid, and The Undertaker. Match starts. It's a big old schmaz, of course. Pretty much immediately, Taker and Mankind go after each other and go over the top rope. So they're both eliminated. They will continue to fight now into the back. They will continue to fight throughout the match. They'll even come back through the crowd, get back into the ring, fight back, and then go backstage. That plays out throughout the entire thing.
We don't get our usual Undertaker entrance, actually. He's the last person to come out, but he just sprints out. Yeah, just sprints out, knocks out Mankind, and then the two of them just brawl forever.
Yes. I'll go through a little bit of notes to get to the finish, and then we can go back through it a little bit more. My notes were Savio, like an idiot, eliminates himself. He goes for like a spinning kick onto Goldust in the corner and spins right over the top rope and is gone. At one point, Bulldog and Owen come back out to ringside to distract Sid, allowing Austin to toss him over the top rope. The final two are Ahmed and Goldust. Ahmed's tights are all the way up his ass as he shoves Goldust over the top rope, almost falling over himself, but just holds on to the ropes for the win. So it's going to be Ahmed facing off against either Shawn Michaels or Vader the night after SummerSlam. Don't get too excited about that, though. Just an FYI spoiler.
Just for next week.
But yeah, so that was the match. I mean, it is a battle royal. It was 20 minutes of stuff happening, not really wrestling moves per se, but I think in these kind of situations, you look for stories and you look for what's coming out of it, and you're seeing all the little stories there. You're seeing Bulldog and Owen and Sid. You're seeing Austin get a little bit extra shine. You're seeing Ahmed come out on top. What's he gonna do? You're seeing Mankind and Taker story advancing. A lot of, and Goldust and Ahmed feud also. A lot of stories taking place on one match, which I think is more the point of these things than anything.
Yeah, and I mean, in these things, you can't have all your spots. You can't get all your shit in. It's going to be one of those punch kick things where you guys just have to sell a couple of feuds here and there. I did like the chemistry that I was seeing between Sid and Austin, though. I thought that those two looked like they had a palpable chemistry when they were going at it. Did you see anything like that? Did you catch that?
I more thought just about, I know we sort of joked about them piping in cheers for Sid, and I still think they're doing that. But legitimately, you see people standing up and getting excited when he's hitting his moves and making his comeback and stuff. Like,
yeah, man, if you want to see,
like, people stood up and were fucking ready for it.
Yeah, if you want to see piped in cheers during this episode, you go to Lawler versus Montoya. Oh my God, you would have thought from the way that the network has it, you were watching The Rock and Hogan. Because it was piped in.
But yeah, again, I didn't really have any complaints about it. It was easy to go down.
Over the top battle royal. Yep.
Yeah. That's not the end of it, though. Afterwards, Vince gets into the ring to chat with Ahmed. Basically, Ahmed, of course, doesn't know where the hard cam is, so he has his back to us. And Ahmed's tights are still up his ass. So we get a nice shot of that. But
just wedgied like crazy.
Oh, God. Good work with WWF cameras, though. The guys in the ring quickly jump in and get angles at work. Production numero uno. Anyway, Ahmed talks about facing Shawn or Vader as Farouk runs in and attacks Ahmed. But then they're held back as officials by officials as we go off the air.
And
that's
that is Raw. I like the kind of fire that Ahmed was bringing to the ring when he jumped in there. But you could see, like, also when they first got in, they had this like weird pause for a second where like they weren't being pulled apart by the security, and they're just both like, and then they like, Farouk jumped in first because obviously, Ron Simmons is he's the veteran here, the KG veteran who's going to be able to lead something. Still looks stupid in that Farouk outfit, but at least you have, as he called himself, a tiger ready to take over the jungle here.
He's ready to eat animals, whatever the fuck he said.
The tiger's a man eater like me. Actually, his whole tiger promo backstage with Sonny was actually pretty decent.
He fumbled over his words a little bit, but yeah, in general, I like it. He's very intense and very scary, which is what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I wish he would have found his footing on like what he needed to do or what he needed to be a champion in the WWE like he was in WCW. But is what it is. He would have just gotten beat by Hunter at Mania, I'm sure.
Well, but Farouk's legacy, though, is almost more about The Rock than anything, and I think if that's going to be your legacy, take it.
Yeah.
First black heavyweight champion, got The Rock going, all-time great tag team at the APA. I think he did a damn good job. A damn Good job.
Well, not a Hall of Famer for nothing.
There you go.
He'll be a two-timer. You think they'll put the APA in the Hall of Fame? I could see that happening.
I guess so, but JBL was supposed to go in this year, right? And he didn't.
Did they not do it at all this year?
They didn't do it at all this year. So he's supposed to be in. So I think it's going to go by how much they mention of that. If they discuss only sort of JBL rather than Bradshaw, maybe they're saving it if they really go through his career. But a lot of times they don't want to do that, which is one of the oddest things to me. It's like when Scott Hall went in, but he went in as Razor Ramon. It's like, I'm sorry, he was Razor Ramon for like 4 years in his 25-year career.
That's
like,
right.
Yes, I know he's going to end up being a 4-time Hall of Famer anyway, but it's not like, listen, if a guy only had that character, sure, don't call him by his other character's name. But he was Scott Hall in AWA for years and years and years in Florida. And then he was Razor for 4 or 5 years. And then he was Scott Hall for another 15 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
when he came back to WWF or WWE after WCW, he was Scott Hall again. So, yeah, you're right. Like, it's ridiculous.
Or like X-Pac too. Like X-Pac should go in as Sean Waltman because he was 1, 2, 3 Kid for 4 years, but then he was some variation of Sean Waltman, X-Pac 6, whatever the fuck, for another 15 years. It's if you want to be, who's an example? I don't know. If you put in, what's his name? The Boogeyman. Okay, well, you're not going to call him anything else. Even if he wrestled as something else for a year or two, he's going in because the character of the Boogeyman is what's getting him in, not necessarily the wrestler, which is a little less for me.
Yeah. Well, the Boogeyman is very specific there with him. But I was thinking you were going to go towards the Booty Man at first. I was like, if you were to put the Booty Man in there.
Isn't he in it already?
Yeah. I think Brutus the Barber Beefcake, with how close he was to Hogan, he has to be in there.
He's definitely, I think he got in last year or something stupid. I don't know, whatever. But that was Raw. Any final thoughts before we move on to Nitro?
No, I think it was a solid Raw. Like, once again, it was like pretty good overall. We've had a couple, I mean, even though it's not like not live still, we've had a couple of decent weeks of Raw here. By the way, yes, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Hall of Fame class of 2019.
Told you last year. Yeah, same thing, Raw. I don't think there's anything to go back and watch on Raw, but in the moment, I think it went down real easy. And what's coming more and more apparent to me, and I know we talk about this every week pretty much, but like, it goes on easier because it's an hour. Wrestling should be an hour. I wish all wrestling was an hour. I don't need 2 hours is sort of, it's fine. I don't need 3 hours. And it's just like, I feel that on Nitro. I feel like there's like killing time. A Raw now, especially. I mean, forget the situation. Raw for the past 7 years of 3 hours. They just kill time because they don't know how to fill it. If you don't know how to fill it, you can come up with some fun stuff. I understand the money. You can't say no to it. But like, I don't think you necessarily have to do a Raw program for 3 hours to fill 3 hours on Monday nights on USA. You know what I mean? If you switch things up a little bit, if you have a little bit more fun of something. What if, I know remember when they teased this last year, only one episode ever, Core Graves was like, Raw is going, what do you fucking say? Raw is going dark or some shit. So then like that 1 hour, they switched all the graphics from white to black. But like,
don't
and then it was never brought up again. But like, that's not a bad idea if you're like, okay, the 10 p.m. hours where shit goes down, and you just make it feel a little bit different, kind of like awakens your palate. Like even, I mean, Bischoff talks about that all the time, and we see that play out on Nitro. I don't know if it helps necessarily, but at least they were trying to, okay, let's make the hours feel different. Okay, how do we make the hours feel different? Different announce teams, switch it up. We hit the fucking pyro in the middle of the show. Move where the announcers are sitting. Even those little tiny things can do a lot to awaken the palate, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It makes it seem like it's not the same thing that you're watching. It's not interchangeable with what was going on before. I agree.
All right, well, speaking of Nitro and Bischoff, want to go to Disney?
Let's do it. Our viewers and listeners don't have to. As I mentioned, this is the most exclusive way to take in uh, the Nitro from August 5th, 1996.
Yes, August 5th, stole the words from my mouth, episode 47. We were once again live in Disney MGM Studios in Orlando, Florida. Why are they there again? Because of the Olympics, as we discussed a few weeks ago. It's like a little summer camp down in Disney. But Tony and Larry opened the show and talked about the Outsiders attack last week. Remember, the Outsiders showed up and wreaked havoc, whatever, on the locker room. So the wrestlers are coming out to be security tonight. We see a bunch of big, beefy boys come ringside, guys like Mang, Big Bubba, Scott Norton. They're all out in like WCW crew shirts, and they're going to be standing ringside with their like acting as security the entire night, which must have been a really shitty gig.
Yeah. Well, I think it must have been especially shitty because if you watch these matches out here tonight, it seemed like it was a muggy one down in Florida that day. Wow, there's a lot of sweat in this show.
Oh, you could see immediately, like it was just hot. You could, it was like coming out of the screen, how thick and disgusting the air was. But we open up the show with a WCW Tag Team Championship match. The Rock and Roll Express are back. They're taking on WCW Tag Team Champions Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker. Match goes 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Yes, I mean, my biggest note from this is Parker is sweating like a lunatic. And I don't blame him. He's in a 3-piece suit. And like Sherry is like trying to like dab the sweat off him. But like if you look, there's a puddle underneath where he was standing because he's sweating so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sherry tries to get involved with Robert Gibson. Robert shoves her down, so this incenses Robert Parker. All the chaos allows Booker to pin Robert Gibson after Stevie Ray nails him with a kick in the face. And there you go. Harlem Heat retains their tag team championships.
Yeah, however, Booker was like way under the bottom rope during this pin. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not a legal pin right there.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. He was neither did the ref, so I don't blame you.
There you go. But a fast match. I mean, it's 8 minutes, but it felt fast to me. It was fast paced. These guys are all flashy, can move, can have fun. Nothing super stood out, but these guys know how to have a tag team wrestling match, and that's what.
Yeah, they're good. It's good. I mean, these are two tag teams who are at the top of their game. They're very sharp. I mean, that's the funny thing too about the Rock and Roll Express is that like they even at that age are like still great. Like they move just as well as they ever did.
They're still moving. We're 20 years later and they're still they are 10 years past their prime in 1996 and they're still wrestling now.
And they're still doing Canadian destroyers. God bless them.
Next up, Mean Gene is in entranceway with the Nasty Boys. They talk about Hogan and the NWO. Obviously Hogan is very close to them, so Mean Gene is trying to poke them, like, which side are you on? Sting and Luger come out and confront them, literally asking them which side that they are on. They said they stand for the people they always stand for, only Nastyville. So they've decided that they're heels, but they're not NWO and they're not WCW. They're nasty.
That sounds like a Nasty Boys promo, all right. But I like how they're doing a lot of this, like referencing the real life friendships that Hogan has with folks, and we might see more of that later on in the show.
We will see more of that. Next up, it's Malaya Hosaka with Sonny Ono against Medusa. Match goes about 5 minutes. During this match, you see a limo arrive. What does that mean? Sonny Ono tries to get involved, but Medusa drop kicks him off the apron. Malaya, what's her name? How do I fuck this up? Malaya. Oh, I don't know why I thought that wasn't right. Malaya takes advantage of the distraction and gets the pin. As Sonny,
he just kind of crawls over her after she drop kicked him.
Like Medusa was down from the drop kick, crawls over. Sonny grabs her Medusa's feet so she can't kick out.
Oh, is that what happened? I missed that part. Yeah. I didn't see that. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, this is weird. I watched it twice. I was like, what? How did I miss that?
I just thought it was weird. So they're talking a lot about this matchup. Medusa's going to be, so this Saturday is Hog Wild. So we're building towards all the stories advancing for that. So this Saturday, Medusa is facing off against Bull Nagano at Hog Wild in a motorcycle match. Basically, Medusa's going to ride in on her Harley. Bull Nagano is going to ride on in some Japanese thing. That's literally what they say. And the loser has their motorcycle destroyed, which is a pretty funny gimmick. But
Oh, I love it, especially at
just,
Sturgis. That's
yeah.
knowing your audience right there.
Yeah, destroy that Asian East motorcycle. There are so many words I didn't want to say.
I know, yeah. I know they come. There's a lot of things that they call them, but for Monday Night Pod's sake, we'll avoid that for now.
I thought it was just weird that you're building up Medusa for this match. Why did she lose at all? Just have her fucking go out there and beat the shit out of Malaya and move on to Bull. Isn't that the point of this? It's a warm-up match for the pay-per-view.
WCW never knew what to do with Medusa anyway, so we're moving on from that. I guess we're chugging right along.
I like.
Maybe it'll make it all the way sweeter now, though, when she gets her victory, because now the bikers have to worry. Maybe she's not going to get her victory.
Yeah, I guess the point is Sonny will be in Bull Nagano's corner, so he's already one-upped her, sort of idea.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That now she's in danger, rather than just rolling on through.
I mean, I like seeing women's wrestling. I like seeing Medusa wrestle.
I like seeing Medusa, period.
I know you're Team Medusa. I'm not Team Medusa, but I like watching her wrestle. I mean, once again, the women hit harder than almost anyone else on the roster, especially in Medusa match. So
they were doing like some really cool like tie-ups with their legs and stuff like that. Some cool submission wrestling through this. You know, it's a solid 5 minutes. Best women's wrestling that we'll get tonight on Monday Night Pod.
There you go. How about that? Next up, it's Alex Wright versus Chris Benoit with the Woman and Liz. Match goes 8 minutes and 30 seconds. I feel like we haven't seen Alex Wright actually wrestle a match in forever.
No, last time we saw him was in that super weird promo. That super weird
Baywatch thing.
Yeah, the Baywatch promo.
I guess and then he was in that match.
Yeah, but that match didn't really.
That was like a real showcase match.
Yeah.
Anyway, during the match, Jimmy Hart makes his way to ringside and he's yelling at Woman that she's wasting her time with Benoit and that he has someone better for her. Dean Malenko then comes out, grabs Woman as Alex Wright. It's a flying, one-footed stomp. It looked like he was going for a flying leg drop, but then just sort of grazes his chest. It's very odd. But anyway, Benoit then sees Malenko going after Woman, and he decides that to go after him instead. So they brawl to the back, and apparently it's not a DQ, even though they were beating the shit out of each other. It was a count out. I don't know. Either way, Alex Wright wins, I guess. Alex Wright wins via count out, but he should have lost because Dean got involved and went after Benoit. It was chaos ensues.
But the ref might have not seen that and only saw when Benoit got out of the match. Yeah, no, it's weird. You're right. And maybe the announcers got it wrong when they yelled, "Oh, it's a count out." It's just all fucked up. And, it doesn't feel great to see we're in the beginning of them referencing Kevin Sullivan backstage with Nancy and Chris.
No, I thought they were referencing Dean.
I think they were referencing because remember
because Jimmy's like, "There's someone better for you. There's someone better for you," and then Dean runs out. That was my interpretation.
I thought I heard him say someone's mad backstage at you for doing this, and he pulled up his tie and he was pointing at a face on his tie, and I'm pretty sure the face on his tie was Kevin Sullivan.
I mean, that makes sense too. So, I guess we will find out.
Well, this is proof pudding right here that it wasn't executed so well, since we both took away entirely different things from what happened.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Moving on. Next up, it's Lord Steven Regal Cheese versus Macho Man. Match goes about 6 minutes. We're counting down to hour 2 during this match, and then Tony freaks out because he says, as we're going to hour 2, he realizes that there's no Bischoff and there's no Heenan. Nobody knows where they are. Sting and Luger come to ringside and sit so during the whole show, this funny. So the whole show at past 2 weeks, there's 4 empty seats right in hard cam view, right in the front row, with the idea of could those seats be for the NWO of the fourth man? So Sting and Luger come out and sit there during the match. What's funny is, I forgot to mention this, in the first match, the whole point is 4 empty seats where it's right in front of us to nail the point home. and some fucking idiot goes and sits in one of the seats during the match. So when we come back for a commercial, that guy is nowhere to be seen. They clearly went up to him like, "You're ruining the entire story. Get out of the seats."
Get the hell out of here, Mark.
But anyway, it's a Macho Man match. So guess what? Flying elbow drop ends it. Sing louver, then leave and head towards the limo that pulled up earlier. They open the door, but nobody is inside. Instead, it's a bouquet saying condolences to the death of WCW. We'll get
It's
into
a large, lovely bouquet too, I must say. I was looking at it and I was like, that is a very pretty floral arrangement.
It looks like a funeral thing. You like put on a casket, right?
It's huge. Yeah. It's big old thing.
I mean, it really isn't much to say about this match because it's all story and leading into the next interview, which is Mean Gene gets in the ring to talk to Macho Man. Talk about, so now Macho Man is he worked out some sort of deal where he's not allowed to show up at Hog Wild, but he is going to face the winner of Hogan and the Giants match for the WCW title afterwards. So there you go. Sing Louver then get into the ring. They talk about the bouquet. They then set up for a field goal with Sting holding it and Macho Man kicking it, and he kicks it right at the cameraman as the interview ends, which is a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, pretty funny. I enjoyed it.
And all story. And I'm into it. What's going on in the NWO?
And we know what our main event is going to be for next week on Nitro. It's Macho Man facing whoever for the championship. That's a pretty big match.
That's true.
Be it Hogan or the Giant.
Both shows sort of did that set up their immediate contenders for the night after.
No, yeah, good point. I didn't think about that.
Anyway, next up, Tony and Larry discussed WCW Saturday Night, and Ric Flair facing off against Chavo Jr. During the match, he refuses to break the figure four, so Eddie runs out to try and get him, but Ric still refuses. Eddie cuts a promo, Ray's cutting a promo, still selling him getting beat up by the Outsiders, blah, 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 blah. But that sets up our next match, which is the Booty Man. He's back, baby, with the Booty Babe versus the U.S. champion Ric Flair with women Liz and Deborah. Match goes about 3 minutes. Arn Anderson makes his way to ringside as well, sitting in a folding chair because he's going to act as security during the match. We then see Mongo and Benoit also make their way out as security. So now we have the Dungeon of Doom out there, security. We got the Four Horsemen out there, security. We got all the big boys out there for security. Heenan arrives during this match, again on commentary just for this match. He says that he has been in the back waiting for Bischoff all day, but he has no idea where he is. He's been missing all day. You'd think Tony and Larry would have realized this by the time they went on air, considering that Heenan says that Bischoff usually gets there at 10:30, but no one noticed. The head of the fucking company, the VP of everything, wasn't there, but they didn't notice that till 9 p.m.
Right.
10 p.m., whatever it is.
Live on the air.
But anyway, Flair has Booty Man locked into figure four, and Horsemen come in, and they're like, fuck this. We're just going to beat the shit out of him because he's Hogan's friend, and he can't be trusted, which is smart. The Dungeon of Doom just stand outside and just stand there, and they allow it. They're like, this is cool.
It actually was pretty cool watching them do that like that.
Yeah, my note was good. Fuck the Booty Man.
The Booty Babe got sad, so that was a bit of a bummer. But other than that, yeah, fuck the Booty Man.
So as the beatdown is going down, Mean Gene gets in the ring, talk to Four Horsemen. Flair continues going after the Booty Man as Arn cuts a pretty intense promo. Mongo yells a lot, per usual. Flair then grabs the mic and starts yelling at Hogan, saying that he crossed the line by going after Arn, and he wants him now. And they're clearly sending a message that if you're even somewhat associated with Hogan, your ass is grass, baby.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's really good. It's making everything feel like a living, breathing environment on WCW. It's really selling that whole everyone WCW versus the NWO kind of thing. And, if you're not with us, you're against us kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's got to pick sides.
Mm-hmm. But, it was really cool. But things are going to keep being really cool.
Well, not just yet. First, we go back and we see more of the attack from last week, the Outsiders. We get like I fast-forwarded through that. They literally just replayed a lot.
Yeah.
But we get our next NWO black and white promo. Again, if you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast, but you get the idea of what's happening. Anyway, the Outsiders talking about their sneak attack on Luger last week and then taking out the locker room on Nitro. And And it's really cool. So they're going through all this, and then we start hearing the feed between the director and Larry and Tony, which I understand what they were going for. It's still odd that's what we were hearing. But anyway, the director, Craig Leathers, pulls the ad, stops the tape, and then we see that Sting Luger actually in the control room screaming at Craig Leathers, and I forgot the other dude's name is, the two top WCW production people. And you see Craig being like, they paid for it, he just can't air it, blah, blah, blah. Sting and Luger pissed, but then say they have like Sprite and cake waiting for them or something. I didn't really get the reference, and they walked out.
Yeah. But the cool thing about it is this all like feels real, like while it's happening. It really, just with the pacing that they did with it. I thought this paid for thing was even better than their paid for one last week. I liked Hogan talking about his birthday, getting cut off in the middle. Like this, again, we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, but like when wrestling can feel real, whenever they can present, like definitely when we were kids and we were watching this, that was real. What was going on? This getting cut off in the middle?
It was just like, it's never been seen before. Like to even see the production truck, to see the control room, you've never seen. I mean, you've seen it in Nitro now a few times, but before the past month or two, you never see that. So to see them even in that environment is new. To hear the director calling shots and adjusting things is brand new. Most people would have no idea what that was.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool thing to see, and I love where the NWO story is going, obviously.
I agree. Next up, it's a WCW Championship match. Match goes 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's Sergeant Craig Pittman with Teddy Long versus WCW Champion Giant with Jimmy Hart. Why does Craig Pittman get a championship match? I know I ask this question every single week. You usually come up with something that makes sense. I dare you to try and give me an answer that makes sense this week.
I'm going to say that Teddy Long managed to get a hold of somebody backstage and say, look, somebody needs a championship match. Somebody needs, because it's Nitro, and we have the Giant defend the title every freaking Nitro. So who better than a veteran? Sergeant
is he a veteran?
Craig Pittman. I mean, I think his gimmick is at least.
Well, he's an Army veteran. Oh, you mean Army veteran, not like a wrestling veteran.
Oh, yeah. Not like a ring veteran.
An Army veteran.
I was gonna be like, whoa, wait a minute. Are we dealing with some stolen valor?
Like Sergeant Slaughter?
Some Sergeant Slaughter stuff here.
Sure, whatever. Anyway, in the match, Craig Pittman does a bunch of flying headbutts.
Sergeant Craig Pittman.
What's that?
Sergeant Craig Pittman.
What do I call him?
No, you just Craig Pittman.
Oh, whatever. Sergeant Craig Pittman hits a bunch of flying headbutts. They mean absolutely nothing. So Giant no-sells and chokeslams the shit out of him for the win. Afterwards, Giant wants to chokeslam him again. Teddy Long comes in and begs him off. So Giant's like, all right, shoves his ass to the ground and chokeslams Teddy Long, which is pretty funny. Mean Gene then gets into the ring to interview Giant and Jimmy Hart. Talk about facing Hogan this weekend. Giant says that what he did was a message to the world. He's not a nice guy or a role model. So again, we've seen him sort of teetering on the face, and this week he seems to be much more in the heel realm. I mean, to me, the funniest part of this is like as they're doing their promo, Teddy Long and Sergeant Craig Pittman are in the ring dead. Like some
just laid out,
like they're being attended to by like one or two people, but like they do not move for like the 5 minutes the segment goes on.
Right. Mean Gene is interviewing the Giant with both of their bodies on both sides of him. It's hilarious.
It is what it is. Not really a match. All setting up just Giant being the Giant. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with these defenses by the Giant. And, the Giant
they don't have to be
awesome.
They just don't have to be defenses. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, that's true too. But I think it adds some credibility to the champion to have defended it a bunch. I appreciate that much at least.
True, but it would almost make more sense if you did it like an open challenge kind of thing, because then I could understand it's like, well, Pittman just happened to be closest and he gets a challenge. Yeah. The fact that somebody's in the back creating these matches and deciding, yes, out of everyone on the roster, Sergeant Craig Pittman deserves a title shot seems insane. Instead, Giant should be out there like, who wants to come out here next? And then Teddy Long like convinces. Like, I think that story would make a little bit more sense. I know it's like
That makes
small things,
yeah,
but
that makes sense. And I love me a good open challenge. Tell you that.
although that is also very stupid because then we get situations like Goldberg just out there. And it's like, who's next? And Roman Reigns walks out. It's like, oh, the most prestigious match of the entire year. Roman just happened to get out there first. Thank God he was closest in entrance.
Yeah, I'm next. All right, cool.
Can you imagine
Thanks,
if someone
guys.
else was closer? I mean, I know the match never happened, but we could have had some very weird matchups.
No, dude. Rockstar Spud could have kept his job. Could have been the one to dethrone Goldberg at Mania.
Right.
Crazier things have happened.
That's
Not
true.
really, but not really.
Anyway, next up we see footage of Saturday night from a few weeks ago. Nasty Boys versus Sting and Macho Man. Basically what it is we see Mongo re-steal the Halliburton back from Macho Man, which has all of Macho Man's money in it because Macho Man doesn't believe in banks. He just keeps it in the Halliburton.
Yeah, well, I think maybe Liz didn't believe in Banks because she had the briefcase and then he took it back, but then now Mongo got it back.
Okay, maybe. Anyway, that leads to Nasty Boys versus Sting and Luger. Match goes 7 minutes. We see the Steiners come out to ringside for this match too to be enforcements. Oh boy, here we go. Sags accidentally takes out Rick Steiner. They said it was Barbarian. I still think he took out Rick Steiner then, whatever happened, sees what's happened, goes after Sags. This leads to Sting locking him into Scorpion Deathlock for the win.
Hard hitting back and forth. Luger's moving great. Luger's still $1,000,000. He did this thing where he got his hot tag and like in the middle of his jump over the rope, he also drop kicked somebody. I can't remember if it was Sags or whatever, but yeah. I mean, this was a fine match, fine back and forth, little tag match main event. I didn't hate anything here.
No, again, nothing really to hate. It's a tag team match. But once again, this match is all about story. Mean Gene gets into the ring. My God. You know what? I know I used to complain a lot about that. It feels a little bit better when he just hops in a ring during this kind of thing than set up all over the arena. For some reason, I digest it, even though he's been doing the same thing every week. And it feels like we need to follow up. Sometimes it just feels like he's out there for no reason. Especially tonight, it feels like we need to hear a little bit more about what's going on. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mean Gene is in the ring. Sting and Luger and two little fans, like they're like 3 years old. They talk about facing the outsiders. They say there's no way the outsiders are in the limo. Lex thinks there's a gag gift waiting for them, and they're like, they're not going to be in there. They're not going to be in there. Let's go see who's in the limo. So Mean Gene's like, I'm not going to miss this. Come on, camera guy. And they run out after Sting and Luger to where the limo's been parked. Sting opens the door, he's able to grab like a little knapsack or something, and the limo shuts the door and drives away. And as Sting looks down, he looks at the briefcase, and it has the Turner logo on it. Now, for the folks that watched it that night, that was all they saw. But the WWE Network had exclusive after the show footage, which is very odd that they would include this. I don't really understand where this.
I wonder where this would have been. Like
I'm sure they used this on the pay-per-view, the next Nitro, that footage. You know what I mean? Like on Hog Wild, like look what you missed when we went off the air. So it's weird that the WWE Network would decide to put it on with this.
Yeah, but it's cool.
It is cool. So basically, after the footage, we see that there's a note that says Ray was right. There are 4 or 5 of us. And Sting and Luger like, it says Turner. What does this mean? Doesn't say NWO. What does this mean? So.
Yeah, they question it very much. And I'd say that's Nitro, but that was Nitro right before that. And then that's Nitro.
But yes, your point was, though, true. That was the end of the show. What are your overall thoughts on Nitro?
I liked it. I thought it moved well. I thought that the matches were good. There were a couple of like kind of extended replays that I didn't really care for. That was just like, it was like, oh, we're still in WCW Saturday Night, and what happened then? Oh, we're still showing the attack from last week. Like, all right, let's get it moving. But like overall, I look back at the match card, and like even though matches that didn't have a lot to talk about, they were still pretty good. Of course, I love booty man getting mauled by Ric Flair. And Flair's in perfect form. He's got they timed his entrance with the fireworks just perfect. I really liked Nitro, and I think their paid for segment this week was even more exciting than last week's because it was good stuff, and they got cut off in the middle of it and all that. The show was a success, in my opinion. How about you?
I mean, I think both shows are pretty similar in terms of not really any matches to go back and watch, but all of it was story, all building both very well towards their pay-per-views. Obviously, this is a go-home show for WCW. WWF is 2 weeks away. So yeah, I think that Nitro is a little better. Only because I just think the NWO thing takes precedence in terms of cool story. I think I just enjoyed that story more than I enjoy what's going on the WWF side, even though they're both doing a good job of it. I'm more intrigued about NWO stuff. They're doing more unique things. So it's another one that's kind of hard where in context, I don't know, but I think or in that night, I don't know, but knowing what's going on, I'm more invested in Nitro. I think even if to think is there anything to go back and look at? Yeah, maybe go back and watch an NWO promo. Maybe, and I mean, that's probably it. But at least there's that.
I mean, that's the main thing. Yeah, I mean, definitely watch the second hour if you're going to watch that one. But yeah, like you said, Raw, there's nothing that's amazing that you have to go back and see. And plus we know, just in retrospect, as you were getting at, we know there's a lot more payoff coming to the stuff that's coming out of Nitro.
I mean, the WWF is a little snake bitten, but most of what they're building towards is not going to end well, unfortunately. Some of it was out of their control. Some of it was in control, but having that perspective changes a little bit. But Adam, let's take a look at what America thought that night. Much closer than it's been. Nitro got a 3.0 and Raw got a 2.8. So we've seen Raw do better. We both thought Raw last week is better, and that is being reflected in the ratings that more people tuned in this week.
Yeah, comes to show you Vader main event contender feud is a draw, in my opinion. And they should have put the title on Vader.
I would not make that correlation. I think that they've been producing better shows and more people will be excited about it. I mean, Vader wasn't even on the show this week, Adam.
I know. I'm just a Vader mark. That's all. I'm just a total Vader mark, and I'm so disappointed that he never had that title.
Yeah, he kind of got fucked.
I mean, he even got fucked when it came to the end of his life because they just couldn't get him in the Hall of Fame before he died. You telling me he couldn't go in the year that they were in Atlanta?
Well, that year was a botch. They should have done everybody that year. All classic WCW guys that year.
Yeah. It just feels like they've always needlessly wanted to shit on the legacy of Vader. There was a episode of Dynamite. I can't remember what, but it was Excalibur was calling. I think it was the Jake Hager thing or something like that. He did a Vader bomb, and Excalibur called it a Vader bomb, and JR went like, "Oh, that's good to hear. You're damn right, it's a Vader bomb. Oh, that's so nice to hear the kids say that." And it's yeah, because Vader's legacy does not get quite the credit I think that it deserves. But that's a totally different tangent.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, this is one of those things here where history is written by the WWF, and this is really the only time Vader was on top in WWF these couple months of the summer of 1996. Other than that, he was sort of treated as a joke for another year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, which incredible that you could do that with such a physical specimen. I mean, you hear how he was just the nicest guy, and he must have been that because, that someone with that much physical potential could not be pushed over very easily, I imagine. So he must have just been this, just what they say. They say he's the sweetest guy who just wanted to help everybody out. So, unfortunately he was tied in with Shawn at his most selfish during those days. But we'll get into that more in the coming weeks, I am sure.
We will. Adam, I want to, well, let me do some plugs. I actually have many plugs. If you made it this far, thank you. That's wonderful. If you're listening to this on a podcast form, make sure you're following and subscribed. If you listen to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. That would be cool. If you're watching us on YouTube, hello, our beautiful faces. You can see us. Subscribe, like the video, share the video, comment below. Let us know what you thought about this show. Let us know which one you thought should have won, Nitro or Raw. If you have more thoughts, you could tweet us at Monday Night Pod. Find us on Instagram, Monday Night Pod. Find us on Facebook, Monday Night Pod. The YouTube is Monday Night Pod. Look, there's so many things I figured out. If you want to email us at info@mondaynightpod.com. Adam, I've talked about something for many years. I've talked about getting a championship belt, right?
Oh, you sure have.
And I told you that I want the big gold, and I want it to look fucking legit. I don't want any cheap bullshit that WWE sells.
All right.
So I found this website called,
oh boy,
it's Fandu Belts, FANDU belts.com. I believe they did a giveaway with Chris Van Zant. So I saw it. So I was influenced by his giveaway. They have a stimulus sale going on. They have something called the new dual big gold, which is the big gold. They sell imperfect belts. Those have imperfections from being made. If I'm going to spend money, I want to get the good ones. It's on sale for $330, and I've been staring at it every single day. So they have a lot of custom options too here. I was going to pick, and let me tell you let me ask you what your thoughts were on this. So
I'm looking at the website right now.
So on the dual big gold, you can get the actual plates like bronze, which look really cool, copper or something. I wanted the gold. I want it to look like what it should. Right. They have a lot of different strap colors, but again, I thought I wanted a little bit more classic, but they do a strap color that is black with the red backing. I thought that's dope.
Yep, that's the Mark Henry World Heavyweight title. That's the best one.
Yeah, and then you can pick your jewels. I thought red, because that's what Ric Flair always had, get classic. Yep. And then you could add a custom plate. Now, unfortunately, you could only do 8 letters. So I was like, Triple J, I mean, that makes sense. That's close enough. But so I've had it in my shopping cart for a week, and I stare at it every single day because while cheap, it's still $330. And $330 on something that I certainly don't need is stupid. But I just sit and I stare at it. It makes me feel good staring at it. And I think, if it makes me feel this good staring at it, maybe it make me feel good holding it in my hands.
Mm-hmm. It looks good. I can see why you'd feel this way.
So fans, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to convince me to buy the belt. Tweet at us. Let me know. Tweet at Fandu Belts 2 or whatever. Instagram them, tag me. Tell me if I should buy it or not. I guess influence me one way or the other. Let me know. Maybe I'll put a poll up on Twitter. Let me know if I should spend the money and buy this belt or not. I'll leave it into your hands. How about that?
I think that's good. I know I'll comment on it.
It's so pretty.
That's a really good looking thing.
Yeah, and for it to be like only $330, I've never seen like this intricacy on a belt that's that cheap.
$50 when I go all the way up with doing the custom nameplate belt plus the belt stand. That's another $5. Yeah. That's what you want to get. I think you should do it. All right, friends. Tell Jeremy what he should get. He has 8 letters to put on it again. 8 letters. No exceptions.
Yeah.
I wonder if that includes a space. Probably.
Yeah, I think it's like 8 characters, whatever. So this is what I've been staring at every day. So you guys let me know, and maybe I'll have good news next week that I finally own a World Heavyweight Championship belt.
Well, you can't pin anyone for it right now because of social distancing. So if you're going to get one, this is the way you're going to get it.
24/7, I guess, is up for grabs since Rob Gronkowski can't hold it anymore either.
Yeah. Well, he's still got it in his house, so we'll see.
That's true. All right, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. Whatever, here with us. You are amazing, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Later.